we're still in the month of April, a beautiful month of April. So many beautiful things happening right now. And the value for the month, we decided, this is the Centers for Spiritual Living all over the world, said the value for the month is diversity, but we've decided what it really is, the value really, because we've already got diversity, right? The value is inclusion. And so promote diversity and inclusion. Inclusion is the value. Today is enter triumphantly into community. All right, you're very familiar with all the Gospels. The Matthew, Mark, and Luke have a version of this. This is from Luke 19, verse 30-31. Go ye into the village over against you, in which at your entering you shall find a colt tied, whereupon never man sat. Loose him and bring him hither. And if any man ask you, why do you loose him? Thus shall you say unto him, because the Lord hath need of him. Okay. Now the donkey, isn't that interesting? Because we go back to Zechariah, and there is a prophecy about someone riding in to Jerusalem on a donkey. And so this was in order to fulfill the prophecy. And as I mentioned to the kids this morning, Judith Maccabee had 200 years, I think, before that, had reclaimed the temple. And then they were having all the problems again, and the Romans had returned. It was no longer a city of peace. Jerusalem means city of peace. Ha! Aren't we ready for it to be that again? Aren't we ready to have a more peace in the world, which involves inclusivity, and it involves honoring one another, and it involves not trying to change each other to fit what we think somebody ought to be or to believe or to act like? Now, the Bible, we love the Bible. It certainly is not the only sacred book that we read and are inspired by, but when somebody says that the Bible is history, I say, you know what? I believe that the Bible is his story and her story. And so from that standpoint, I like to look to see metaphorically how these things apply directly to us. Yes, Jesus rode into Jerusalem in this very humble way on a donkey. But you know, here's news. Jesus was a Jew. And he had no intention to create a new religion. He wanted to make some healthy changes in what he saw was needed at the time. He was a rebel. A rebel. We like rebels. We like people who want to think differently. And he never had any intention to create a new religion. But when he entered into Jerusalem, keep in mind that Jerusalem it was a large enough city, but it became probably 10 times as large during Passover, because people came from all over to celebrate there in Jerusalem at the Temple of Solomon. So the city was expanded. He took his opportunity after really understanding that that there was a divine will that needed to be expressed through him, and he was willing to follow it. And he entered in. And what happened ultimately was that, unbeknownst to him, perhaps consciously at the time, but there was a deep knowing inwardly about his divine mission, was that he created, later on, it was really Paul, but later on, he actually created a community of Christians who initially had to meet in the catacombs, right? They had to hide out because it was dangerous. And ultimately, we have so many forms of Christianity now, don't we? Can we honor and acknowledge and bless each one of them? He entered like a rock star on the back of a donkey. Really? Can you imagine? I can't imagine. I do my best to imagine. Hosanna, Hosanna, save us. So still, our Jewish brothers and sisters get to acknowledge, honor, live, and celebrate their teaching. So do our Muslim friends. So do our Hindu friends. So do our Buddhist friends, all honoring the divine in their own beautiful way. And as you know, Reverend Mike and I are very involved in the mainline ministerium. And you also have been included in some of the happenings at the Baptist Church and at the Islamic Society and at the synagogue, because we are all one community when we do not let our external differences get in the way of living what we are here to live and to practice our spirituality in the way that is right and true and authentic for each of us. Then we can look through the differences and not just look through them, celebrate them, and look through to see that we have one thing in common. We were all created from the same Creator. It's not unusual. Here we have, in Devon, we have the Baptist Church of the Great Valley, we have the Jewish Synagogue, and we have the Islamic Center all right there, like the Fertile Crescent. This is where they all came from, the Fertile Crescent, right? Each of the religions, those three main religions, all came from the same place. And here we have it, right, 10 minutes down the road. We have been creating right here for 25 years. I wasn't here then. I was born for a long time. But right here, we have a community that we are deepening and building. But it begins with each of us doing our own sacred work, doesn't it? We have our own riding humbly into a place that we would like to experience peace, and maybe we don't yet. We have our own Garden of Gethsemane. As a beloved minister friend of mine says, no crucifixion, no resurrection. We all go through those very dark times, and the brighter we are, the more we have understanding about what makes our lives work well, the deeper we dive. Oh, you all picked such good music today. Thank you. The deeper we dive, our soul dives deeply into that loving presence, which is always, always there, available, saying, come on home. Let's experience together that truth. Then we can move through the things that are difficult to move through, knowing that it's not always going to be easy and it's not always going to be pleasant. Yes, Ernest Holmes said, the day will come when we no longer have disharmony in the world. Wouldn't it be lovely if it were in our lifetime? In the meantime, we deal with what we deal with, and we deal with it never alone. Have you ever felt alone? Have you ever felt as though you had to take care of things and move through things by yourself because there was nobody there to help you? Have you ever felt as though you were separate from God? Well, God never left. Think about the times that you felt so completely alone, isolated, you thought you could never get through it. And then imagine Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. If you can take this cup from me, go ahead. Understanding that wasn't going to happen because it's part of the plan. How many times have we, can I get out of this, please? Do I really need to keep walking through this? I was 18 and a half when I was giving birth to my first child. I had called my minister. His wife answered the phone first, and she said, because I was surprised. I thought it was just going to be all yippee-skippy. I was a good religious scientist, right? She said, well, even dogs and cats have a little trouble giving birth to their puppies and their kittens. Oh, okay, thank you. And then my beloved Barney, Earl D. Barnum, gave me a beautiful mantra that I used throughout my labor, which was, I swing in rhythm and harmony with the universe. I swing in rhythm and harmony with the universe, but at that time, it was before the husbands were allowed in with their wives, and there wasn't a room for me. There was no room. I was in the hall with something like that around me, alone for a long time. Long, long time. It it's difficult to feel so alone when you're going through something that is that challenging. But I never was alone, was I? First of all, there was Jimmy. He was working with me too. That's my child. And God was with me always. That divine presence never left me. And wow, did I have a beautiful reward. Beautiful 8-pound, 6-ounce James Franklin Ditmore III, and some of you have met him. He was here for my installation. When we are going through very, very difficult, isolated things, that's when we need to call on our spirituality, however that shows up for us. I can remember as a kid, I was attending the Unity Sunday School, and my favorite hymn was, I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. That's still very sweet. That still touches my heart. And so whatever our spiritual, religious tradition may be, there is nobody that is outside of the loving presence of the divine. But we forget. We forget. We want to come back to remembering that all of us are created from the one. Now, just as Jesus brought that beautiful, greater sense and awareness of the presence of God within and all around us, and we follow his teaching of love and acceptance and inclusion. Oh, he ran with some ragged people, didn't he? He didn't say, oh, well, I'm the Son of God, so I can't talk to you because you're a thief, you're a prostitute. He saw that divine possibility within every person. That's a big challenge. Is that a big challenge for us? It need not be, not when we call on that divine presence within to help us remember. And then we find that we are building a conscious, caring community. And it begins with deepening our own consciousness with the divine. In the tapestry of community, each one of us is a beautiful and necessary thread. It wouldn't be the same without each one, including those who are out of state right now. Everybody is an essential, important, beautiful, unique thread in the tapestry of community. And the more we stay, as a friend of mine says, prayed up, the more we can contribute to our community. So Jesus, as the way shower, taught that not only was he the Son of God, that each one of us is the son and the daughter of God as well. Maybe it's time for you to think a little more of yourselves, and a little more of your family members, and a little more of your neighbors. I see that divine presence within you. You see that divine presence within me. And we build something together as a result of that. We go ahead and move into our experiences that are not always pleasant or easy, but it's essential in a community like ours or any other community that we may be a part of and helping to build so it may thrive. It's necessary to find and discover untried ways to connect people together, to create a culture that brings people together based on something bigger than we are. Now, what do we do here? We have classes, we have meditation, we have care groups. We can experience the presence of the divine even with an event coming up not too long from now that we call Bada Bingo. Whatever we do, we can experience that loving presence. Can't you feel just as spiritual doing bada bingo as you can sitting in meditation? Well, let's work at it. It's fun. Isn't one of the qualities of God joy? Don't we embody that quality? And that quality of joy is expressed when we see each other and we work together. And we're with each other when we're going through difficult things. And we're with each other when we're celebrating our successes. A new job, wonderful. A new baby. We have one coming here from Colorado any minute now. Probably going to be here for Easter. Henrik. Yeah. We celebrate our joys and we stand together with each other when we're going through difficult things. But it can feel lonely if we don't have that community. It can feel isolated when we forget that we cannot get out of the presence, that loving presence that is there all the time, all the time, all the time, no matter how it might feel at the time. 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, my youngest son died. And this is one of my favorite gifts from Jeff, this beautiful necklace. You can look at it later, but you can't have it. Under the circumstances, since there was nobody in his apartment but him as he passed, the officials came, and I could not go inside because they said they had to go through everything before anybody could be in there. And I had to wait outside for hours. It was much lonelier than waiting for my first child to be born. And I drew on that loving presence to move me through it. Sat there and prayed. And finally when the coroner came out, and they said, okay, we just got to go now. And I said, oh, no, you don't. No, you do not. We're going to wait right here. If you care to join, by then 2 of my dear friends had come to be with me. And I said, you're going to wait here right now. And if you wish to join us in the circle around him or his body that he's left, because he's doing just fine now, but we're going to bless this body before you take it away. And they all came and stood around with my friends and me. And we prayed. And we cried. And we touched him. And I think there may have been a gift in that for all of the people who were just coming to do their job. You think? In fact, I know it. Now, this is something I've shared with some of you that I still don't quite understand. But I know that Jeff was received with eternal loving, welcoming arms. I know that. And he's having beautiful new adventures. What I don't understand is that how he can do that and still be right here in my heart where I can feel and experience him anytime. How does that happen? Can someone explain that to me? Infinite mind is just that. And the infinite heart of God is just that. There's no time or space in this divine mind and heart. And so I never was alone in that entire experience, was I? Never was. Painful, oh yeah. But I never was alone. This is what we get. This is one of the most wonderful lessons for us to get through the Easter story. We are preparing for our own new life. We are preparing to experience ourselves more deeply connected in our souls, perhaps, than we ever have been before, so that we can be in our own gardens of Gethsemane. And we can say, all right, if this is mine to do, I know I'm not doing it alone. And invite that holy presence to walk with us. On each side of us, there are some kind of angels walking us through as we're moving through our experiences. And then we're going to have the most beautiful sense of new life. Have you noticed the buds on the trees? Have you noticed the green? We are celebrating new life. And it's on so many levels. It's what we see around us. It's what we're feeling in our hearts. Our Jewish friends are going to be celebrating Passover the same night that we have our Good Friday. Now, we're having a Good Friday service right here at noon. Don't miss it. It's going to be amazing because we have two beautiful high school students, very, very well versed in music, one playing piano, one playing cello. And as I speak about the personal significance for each of the 7 last words of Jesus, then we'll have this beautiful meditative music where you can come deeply within, contemplate what this means for you. And that night, our Jewish friends will be, it'll be the first night of Passover. There are 8 nights. So what a beautiful time of year it is. There's newness. There's faith at work. There are seeming miracles happening everywhere, and we're a part of it. And so we bring that essence of faith and clear knowing and joy into the building of our community. And better yet, as we continue to strengthen and make this community right here so filled with love and compassion and joy and possibility, then we take our message out into the world, which is there is endless possibility. That no matter what we may be moving through, think about the master teacher and all that he moved through in order to prove to us eternal life. Huh? We begin to think a little larger. We're not so self-involved. Oh, we all get that way sometime. You know, dear Frank here got this new headset for me that I was wearing for a while so I wouldn't have to carry the mic around. I don't mind. I don't carry that mic around, but this one. And it was a beautiful headset so that it was wireless, but it was too big for my head. Now, do I have to grow an ego in order for that to fit my head? I'd rather use this. I'd rather keep riding on the donkey. Shall we do that? It is important for us to be less self-involved in order for us to be capital S, self-evolved. We're all on this beautiful journey together. Whether we're riding on a colt or in a Mercedes or walking or taking the train, we're all on a beautiful journey. Let's honor each other's journeys as we move through these beautiful places. You see, everybody seeks a place at the table, right? We do not want to turn anyone away from the table of love and compassion and possibility, and let us work together, walk together, sing together, pray together, play together in order to build a community that works for all. That works for all without exception. So we're entering into this shared respect for each other and appreciation for each other. Jesus loved all people, regardless of their station in life. And so in preparing for the Easter experience, we're preparing for our own Easter experience right now of new life, of greater possibility. Let's come humbly to the divine. Let's go into our own gardens and say, thy will be done. And what is God's will? Well, it's to express through each of us as instruments of that love. To bring this divine power first to our community, to strengthen it, to make it more delightful, more fun, more energetic, more real, more welcoming to people coming, more appreciative of people of different faith traditions, different ethnicities, different walks of life to come together and celebrate what we share all in common. Our divinity in our humanity. Caring, accepting, including. And what was it that Meister Eckhart said? Let God be God in you. That's a great intention. Let God be God in you. Which certainly to me means get out of my little self. Let that divine presence, which brought each of us into being so beautifully, let it guide me. Let it express through me. Let it love me. Let it connect me deeply. And then let it connect me with each beloved that I come in contact with. I love this community. I love each of you here, and those who aren't here today, I love them too. And I have an opportunity with you to co-create something quite wonderful. Simply by entering triumphantly into our community. Isn't it interesting? As Jesus entered looking triumphant, he knew what was ahead. And still, he knew that with God all things are possible, and that we have the opportunity to let a power and a presence greater than we are to guide us through it all, so that ultimately we succeed in love, in wisdom, and in possibilities we hadn't even yet dreamed of. Will you say with me, my heart opens to divine wisdom. It leads me to true community. I engage with my dear ones humbly and triumphantly. And so, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson.